So let me move forward to the next slide to talk about what is the Educating for American Democracy roadmap and initiative. It is unprecedented in its scale in terms of the number and diversity of people who've been brought together, demographically diverse as well as ideologically diverse. And we've worked with the goal of providing a strategy, developing a strategy to provide excellence in history and civic education for all students. So if we could go to the next slide, the initiative has developed guidance and a framework for states and local districts and educators to use to transform the teaching of civics and history. And the goal is to meet the needs of today's diverse 21st century K through 12 student body. The roadmap presents a new vision for history and civics that shifts from breadth to depth. We focus on inquiry, asking questions, and doing sustained investigation, drawing on evidence to answer those questions. We integrate history and civics, bringing together those two academic disciplines, also known as the disciplines of history and political science. We seek to support educators in dealing effectively with fundamental tensions that bring up challenges in how we educate young civic learners. We'll talk more about those further in the briefing. And we also work in the roadmap to cultivate civil disagreement and reflective patriotism, the ability to engage with the questions of who and what we are as a society, what we debate and fight over in productive ways. The work is not a mandate or a curriculum. It is instead a series of themes with questions that have the job of inspiring students to want to become involved in their constitutional democracy and help sustain our republic. The goal is to tell a full and complete narrative of America's plural yet shared story. We're trying to celebrate the compromises needed to make our constitutional democracy work, cultivate civic honesty and patriotism, while leaving space both to love and critique this country. And we're teaching history and civics both through a timeline of events and the themes that run through those events. If we could go to the next slide, please. Again, here you'll see the core principles that we've used in our work, the shift from breadth to depth, the focus on inquiry, the integration of the two disciplines, dealing with tensions by supporting educators in doing that work, an integration of diversity of experiences and perspectives with the goal of cultivating an ethos of civil disagreement and reflective patriotism. If we could go to the next slide, please. What we have offered with the themes and questions organized by grade band levels and supporting pedagogic principles are instructional strategies for every grade level for achieving excellence in history and civic learning. In order to exemplify how this work might be done, we have also created a website of curated examples of resources, lessons, curriculum that align with the themes and instructional principles of the roadmap and that address the questions that are laid out in the roadmap. Again, it's a series of questions that we think all learners K through 12 should have the chance to encounter on their way to becoming engaged, informed, effective civic participants in our constitutional democracy. In addition, the roadmap does have implementation recommendations targeted to local, state, and federal officials, as well as to national civil society organizations. Rebuilding excellence in history and civic learning is a whole society endeavor and project.